Oh, and there's a bad moon rising tonight. What do you say? Is this the weird moon they're looking at? The blue blood red moon or whatever the smack? The full blue blood smack? Anyways, okay, enough silliness. Sorry. Just thought I'd go on again. I thought I'd say something really quick. I had some thoughts going through my mind after I talked to Frank just now. So, before the sun goes down, I thought I'd just get something done. I turned off at the next exit. When I saw this moon, I thought I'd make a joke about voice. Made a couple quick notes, but I think I can do this. Anyways, first thought. It's like, Ben Shapiro. Can you imagine that guy? Like, if that guy thought too much about his voice and listened to himself, I'm just saying, he would probably take a vow of silence in a monastery and never speak again. His voice is so weird, and he talks at 600 miles an hour. But he didn't. It's a necessary voice, and it's also a distinct voice. So when I thought about Frank, well, the first thought that I had about Frank was, after speaking with him, I was like, wow, so you just got into podcasting like, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. That was a really important step. That was a really big step, I should say. And important, well, that's really important, but perhaps in a negative way to Frank, but something that's like, oh, this is bad, but I can get over it just to podcast because I want to get my voice out. And so just the fact that he's doing with it, and he's doing that with me now with, as I understand it, a certain self-consciousness about his voice. It's just suddenly an honor that he would come on with me. It's not just anyone else who just says, hey, do you want to come on and talk with me? Someone who's self-conscious about their voice. Anyways, so to realize that anyways, like I say, it is an honor. Thank you, Frank. What was the other thing? Oh, and distinct in a good way. My goodness, Frank. I just suddenly realized, like, you have a distinct voice. Do you remember, I think it was the first time we were on, and you probably didn't have the video feed of who was talking. So you said to Sean and I, you guys sound exactly the same. It's like, oh, dang. You know, that means you have to see us to know who's talking. We couldn't do an audio podcast together because we have the same accent, perhaps the same, like, level of deepness or whatever it's called. Whereas Frank, your voice is your signature. It's like Ben Shapiro. You just hear this in the background somewhere. It's like, oh, Ben Shapiro is saying something. You could be on any audio podcast with anybody, and you would know, and the listener would know exactly when Frank was talking. It's not a weakness. It's a superpower, dude. Like, especially if you're going into this medium of, like, commentary or whatever it is, you know? Your voice is actually making you distinct, or your distinct voice is a superpower. It's a superpower. It really is. Anything that makes you distinct, it's not something that's bad I'm going off and off and off. What makes me distinct is that I can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Which is what made me think of Ben Shapiro. You know, like, Ben Shapiro didn't shut up. Ben Shapiro didn't, well, he does. He's polite when he discusses with people, but he is verbose, and he hasn't decided, as I've somewhat done in conversations I must do, but just let it out. You know, that's the superpower, the fact that I could talk for 12 hours straight. Maybe one day I'll find someone who will pay me to do that. And you too, Frank. You will find it. I'm sure, this is going to be a thing, man. You have a signature voice, which is your superpower. Sorry, I think I just said that like 4 times, but might have to do a whole podcast on that. Oh, right, we're going to do that later. See you soon, Frank. And everybody else.